Alrighty, guys, so I wanted to pop in and talk to you guys and give you guys this video because um, I know that, okay, so yesterday God woke me up with this on my heart, and then, well, the day before yesterday, and then yesterday He also woke this up on my heart, and then also today we found out my daughter's, which I have a 16-year-old, she's in let's see, she's sorry, let me get this out of the way. She is a 16-year-old, and one of her fellow students um, was a part of a domestic violence situation. Her and her sister was 16. I'm sorry, her sister was 20, and she was 16, and they died by gunshot wound in a domestic violence situation. And I said, Lord, you know what? I know what you're saying. I know what you're telling me, and I know what you're telling me that I need to do. I need to raise awareness of this in light of the situations that I have been. I can't be quiet. And also the ministry and the organization that I want to start, and what's in my heart is to help women, battered women and men that have been through domestic violence situations. And if I can help at least one, and I'm not just going to talk about domestic violence in this video. I'm also going to talk about disciplined and what the Lord has done for me. So this is going to be a very long, raw kind of video. I'm not going to go into deep details and actually giving you guys scenarios and situations that actually happened to me, but I'm going to give you guys the gist of the things that happened to me. Some details, but not all. This is not a bashing session. I've forgiven these people. I've moved on. My heart is definitely healing in these areas of what. So I have no resentment towards them, if that makes sense. I only pray that God heals them and helps them in their situations and helps them overcome the why they keep doing these kind of things, as well as He's doing this for me. But anyway, as I first I want to talk about discipline. As much as we don't like discipline, and as much as we don't like to admit that the choices that we make in our lives are usually the culprits to what we go through. And I'm not saying to blame yourself and bash yourself, and sometimes you don't know, like in my situations I didn't know, but I will tell you guys this: the Holy Spirit, the still voice inside your head, whatever you want to call it, your natural inklings, your intuition, did scream at me, did tell me that these were not right, but I went over them because I was thinking that I was being a good person. I was trying to save them. They were trying to save me. I was helping someone. Whatever the cases might have been, whatever justifications I made in my heart and my mind at the time, that is unfortunately what I went with instead of what I felt like God was telling me to do. Now, in my last marriage, I did believe God brought them into my life, and that was my God-given husband, and everything was perfect at first. But now, knowing what I know about love bombing and narcissism, and how these people operate, and how wicked and evil people operate, and how they try to get you, I know exactly that's what I went through in this last relationship. And as sad as that was, I will tell you guys a few things that I knew, that even though I prayed, and even though we were perfect at first and everything was good and cherries and perfect match, he was a good father to my children, took care of us financially, I will tell you guys some things that I believe I should have not have went over, But let's start with, like I said, discipline. Discipline is such a blessing. It's protection. You need that in your life. I mean, the choices that you make and the discipline that you follow in your life will absolutely protect you. It will protect you. You think that you're being held back, and you think that God is just, making you making you wait and making you this and that. But you know what? It's all for God's protection at the end of the day. He knows exactly what you need in your life. And if you just follow him, and if you just listen to him, and if you just stay currently unavailable like I'm wearing, and do the work in him and fall in line with your purposes, then he will lead you and put in the right person for you. Don't rush anything. Nobody is going to save you at the end of the day. The only Savior already died for you to save you, and that was Jesus Christ. We think that in getting into these relationships that they're going to heal our daddy wounds, and they're going to heal our, maybe we had both parents in the house and they weren't attentive to us, or they're going to heal all of our wounds that we went through, our childhood traumas and dramas, and the things that we went through and the things that we didn't have. But the truth is, nobody is going to save you. You have to pick your own life up, and you have to pick up your own pieces, because the truth is, people are dealing with a lot of their situations and what they're going through and their mess. You know what I mean? They don't have time or have the effort to put in to save you. So you need to become a whole person in God, in Jesus first and foremost, before you're even ready to become a wife, someone's wife, so even a mother. Even being a mother has been a challenge throughout the years, and I'm going to talk about all of that. But yeah, that's the first thing. Nobody's going to come to save you. You've got to pick up the pieces yourself and live a disciplined life, and learn how to take care of your finances, take care of yourself, take care of your everything, your body. Learn to love yourself. Learn to love God and put God first, and get in your word. As much as you don't want to pray, and as much as you don't want to get in your word, and as much as you don't want to do the work, and as much as you want to find the answers in someone else, only you can do that for you, through Jesus, of course. So with that being said, when I was 15, that's when I met my first love, so to speak. We were high school sweethearts. As a child, I mean, you guys know my story. I've gone through daddy issues and molestation. And as a child, I was hushed a lot. I wanted to be loud, and I wanted to be big, but I was hushed a lot. And I felt like I was kind of seen as the annoying kid. I kind of was seen as that. But I was very shy in school, though. That's crazy, because I wasn't shy at home, but I was very shy in school, to the point where I couldn't even speak my name. I didn't have any friends growing up, not one. I don't think I got a friend until I got to high school, and then all my friends dropped me because I became pregnant in high school. So let's talk about it. But anyway, I met my first love, and so when he gave me some attention, he was the star of the football team. He was cute. He was very outgoing, the very opposite of me, and he wanted to date me. So naturally, I was so giddy about that. I was so happy, and I clung on to him so much, to the point where I idolized him. I followed him. I even got in trouble. I remember one time, because I was hanging out with his group. They were drinking, and at school, on school grounds now, they were drinking. He was a pot smoker. He even got arrested at school, got in trouble. He was a troublemaker. He hung out with his friends a lot and did a lot of bad things with them, put it that way. Although I've never tried drugs in my life, I've never tried weed. I was accused on that day of drinking alcohol with them, even though I didn't drink alcohol with them. But since I was hanging out with them, they didn't believe me. They didn't know what to believe. So I got in trouble and I got suspended for the very first time in my life. Although I wasn't ready for sex, and I told him I wasn't ready for sex, I wasn't ready. He kept pushing me. And I remember him telling me one time that if I wasn't going to do it with him, that there was plenty of girls that were going to do it with him. And I was scared he was going to break up with me. So lo and behold, we started having sex. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sex didn't come like joyful for me, if that makes sense. It was very painful, and I still was doing it, and we used no protection. So a few short months later, at the age of 15, and I didn't tell my mother this, that I was having sex, and she told me to tell her if I was, and I was too scared to tell her. So a few short months later, I missed my period. And the funny thing was, I didn't miss my period right away with any of my pregnancies, actually. I didn't miss my period with any of my pregnancies. I still had a period for like a month or two, or I think it was almost 3 months that I almost had my period with my first pregnancy. So I'm thinking everything's good. I'm still having my period and everything is good. But then all of a sudden I missed a period. And I remember me and him went to the drugstore, or was it CVS or Walgreens, one of those places, and we got a pregnancy test and it was positive. And so he said he was going to tell his parents, but I had to tell my mother. I cried that whole day before I had to go to my mother, and tell her that I think I'm pregnant. So I did. I went to my mom, I mustered up the courage, and I said, Mom, I think I'm pregnant. She panicked. That was her reaction. Oh God, and just thinking about it brings tears to my eyes, because the girl who made straight A's in school, who was, didn't do anything bad, didn't do anything wrong. I was a homebody. I was quiet. I was the epitome of a good girl. I disappointed my mother that day. I know I did. Because she said, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? You're too young, Zipporah. You're too young. I don't even know if you should have this baby. You're too young. You're too young. Those were her words. And so we had a heart to heart, and I told her, Mom, I'm having this baby. I'm going to have this baby. And she said, well, I hope you know, I'm not going to take care of this baby. You're going to have to be responsible to take care of this baby, feed this baby, change these baby's diapers. I'm not taking care of this baby for you. If you choose to keep this baby, you're going to take care of this baby. And I thank her so much for that today, because I did. I had to become an adult. 9 months later, I had a baby. But when we went to the doctor to go find out officially that I was pregnant, and to get me onto prenatal pills and to, start getting me into the doctor, I was already almost 3 months pregnant. So to my surprise, I don't even know if I could have gotten an abortion, which that was not my heart. I didn't want to get one. But I don't know if I could have. I was that far along. We were all shocked, because I wasn't showing. They could already tell me what I was having. They could already tell me it was a boy. It was crazy. It was crazy. So here I am, 15 years old. I'm about to have a baby. And the father of the baby, and you guys know my oldest son, I think he's been on here before, Nehemiah. He was not ready to grow up, of course. He played video games, stayed out late, still smoking his pot, still hanging out with his friends. He couldn't keep a job. We struggled, guys. We struggled. He was in and out of work, We struggled. But I was able to get on food stamps that young, believe it or not. I was able to get on food stamps. I was able to get on WIC. I was able to get on daycare assistance, because I ended up having to get a job eventually. Yeah, I got on government assistance at the age of 15. So I had the baby at 16, and I was in labor for 9 hours, I think it was 9 or 10 hours. And then they told me that the baby was going to come out breech, which means that the baby's going to come out the wrong way. So they tell me I have to have emergency C-section. My body went into shock. I was shaking. My teeth were chattering. I was so scared. But they took me into the operating room. about, I want to say about 30, 40 minutes later, after they told me I was going to get the C-section, they pulled Nehemiah out and he was not breathing, no heart activity, not breathing and no heart activity. And I don't know if it's because I went into shock is why he had such a traumatic birth experience. I don't know. But they took him straight out of me and took him into the neonatal intensive care, the NICU. And I didn't see him for almost 3 days because I was also healing. That was my first C-section. And if you've been through a C-section, it is so painful. You can't even use the bathroom. It is so painful. You can't walk. It was painful. That was painful. My goodness. Okay. But anyway, 3 days later, I seen him and he was perfect. God, he was perfect. He was perfect. And I know why God gave me a baby at such a young age now. Because through the trauma and the drama and the experience that I had been through when I was younger, He gave me something so beautiful to love and cherish that was mine. And I was going to protect him. And I was going to love him. And I was going to make sure that he was well taken care of and loved. And my mom used to tell me I would change his diaper too much. But I was so scared that he was going to get a rash, because I would change his diaper even if it didn't need to be changed. But it was all about the love that I had for him. He was perfect. God, he was just so perfect. He was perfect. And so all of the trauma that I went through, it was almost like it healed in that moment when I saw him and he was just so perfect. And I did. I've always been by all 4 of my children's side since day one. I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be there for them in the way that others weren't there for me, And so, fast forward to when Nehemiah, I think he was about, I don't even know, he was probably about maybe 5, 6. His dad, I don't even remember what this argument was about. His dad, he couldn't get rid of, he was borderline. He wasn't let me say he was an alcoholic. He would drink every night. He was one of those ones that would drink the heavy liquor, the expensive kind, like the one with the, God, I can't even think of it now, but it's like a clear bottle that has blue on it, and it's got birds on it. I can't even think of it right now. But anyway, it was vodka. I know the name of that. Anyway, vodka. He used to drink heavy brandy, stuff like that. And he would get drunk. Him and his friends would get slap, piss drunk. And it was the first time that I started drinking wine too. Like, I was introduced to drinking wine and I was underage. Like, I wasn't even 21 yet. I think I was like 17 or something like that. But anyway, fast forward to one night. I don't remember what he got mad about. I can't remember what the argument was about. All I know is this man pushed me into a wall so hard. And this was a big man. He was big and husky, way stronger than me. He pushed me into a wall so hard that all I know is I blacked out. I don't know what happened from there. The next minute I know is I'm crouched over a bathtub with running water over my head, and I see, so I'm, how the bathtub ledge is like this, and I'm over the bathtub like this with my head in the water, and water's running on the back of my head, and all I see is blood in the bathtub. So I'm screaming. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? What happened? What I'm screaming. And I was in and out of consciousness at this point. And all I know is he's got me crouched over the bathtub, running water over my head. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I remember blacking out again. blacking out. I kept going in and out of consciousness. I didn't know what was going on. Next thing I know, the ambulance shows up. The police are there. And like I said, I'm in and out of consciousness, so I don't even remember getting to the hospital. And the next thing I remember is I'm in the hospital and my head is pounding, so painful. And there's cops all around me. My mom's there, his mom is there, and my mom and his mom are going back and forth. And my mom is fussing. She said, because my mom's the one that actually called the cops that night. I didn't know this until later on. She said, if it was your daughter, you would have called the cops too, because his mom was mad that my mom called the cops to have him arrested and put in jail. And she said, if it was your daughter, you would have did the same thing. And, you know, they were going back and forth. And then the doctor comes in. The doctor came in. And the police are trying to take my statement. And I'm trying to tell them, you know, what I know and what I remember. But I couldn't remember much. You know, I told them what I knew. But the next thing I know, the doctor comes in and he says, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. I'm like, I'm so lucky. You know, I'm in the hospital. How am I so lucky? He said, you have a gash in the back of your head about I think it's like 2.5 to 3 inches long, and it has stitches in it. But he said, had it have been a 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, I can't even remember what the exact verbiage was at the point at now. Had it had been any closer to your brain, we would not be looking at you. So you're lucky. You're lucky. You're lucky we were able to close that gash. You have staples and stitches, but you're going to be okay. And I'm looking at him like, wow, you know, like he could have killed me. He could have killed me. And I remember when we went to trial for this, he was looking at me and he was trying to say he was sorry and begging me back. And I never went back. My mom told me don't go back. So I never went back. We never got back together. And that was that story, guys. So that was my very first domestic violence encounter with my high school sweetheart. And he was always, he didn't put his hands on me before then, but he was always verbally and mentally abusive. Now that I look back, he definitely was. And the signs were there, but I was so young. I did not know. So fast forward now, I'm 19 years old. And I get into another relationship with the father of my other 3 children. So we get a divorce. We did get married, by the way. Me and Nehemiah's dad, my high school sweetheart, we got married. We get a divorce, and I get into a relationship with my other 3 children's fathers. So yes, I do have 2 different children's dads. But I was young, guys. I was young, and I wasn't following the Lord like I should have been. I'm just being completely honest. And he, again, smoking pot. He didn't so much drink, but he was smoking pot. He was a pot smoker. But he did the same thing, the love bombing. He swooped right in, got me. He told me all the things, and he got us an apartment. Now, he would keep a job. But only to support his habit. That was pretty much it. And to pay his half of the rent. That was pretty much it. So we got into an apartment. He let me use his nice brand new vehicle to get to work. I got pregnant by him right away. I think I was 19 when I got pregnant with him, and we got together when I was 19. So I had my daughter, and he was the type that would push me. He would verbally abuse me. He would call me names like MFer, B word. He was a cheater. He tried even to get with my mom and my sister at one point. But I was young and dumb, and I went over all of this stuff. And he pushed me while I was pregnant a couple of times. I remember he pushed me so hard in the closet one time that the side of my belly was hurting, and I went to the doctor that day, and the baby was fine. But I was scared that he hurt the baby. He would choke me. Yeah, he would choke me. So I finally, 8 years later, 3 kids later, and 8 years later, I finally said, I'm done. I'm done. I called my mom and I told her, because I was a flight attendant at the time. And I'm so grateful for being a flight attendant, because when God put me into flight attending, that's when he got me close to him. And I started reading the word of God, and I started to pray and fast, and I started to get close to God. And I knew that this was not what he wanted me to be in anymore, because I was moving closer and closer to God, and he was moving close. He was pushed. He was not godly at all, put it that way. And so that would be another clasher in our relationship. He would get mad because I would want to get into the word of God. I would want to pray. I would want to watch, at the time, Joyce Meyer and stuff like that, because that's all that was out. At the time, that's what I wanted to do. And so God put me in that flight attendant position to get me close to him. And I'm so grateful for that, because it broke the bond that we had, and the attachment that I had to him, and the idolization that I had to him away. And I'm so grateful that he did that, even though I was away from my children a lot at that time, because I was a flight attendant. I was on the road. I was flying here and there and everywhere. It was necessary. I needed that. And so I knew I was done. He had put his hands on me for the last time. And I told him, you put your hands on me for the last time. You're not going to push me. You're not going to choke me. You're not going to do this anymore to me. Or threaten me, because he liked to threaten me a lot. And I called my mom. And I flew her out there secretly. I flew her out to where I was secretly. And I called the cops, and I think they gave me 20 minutes to grab my things. I started putting my things in my son's closet so that I can have them in one place, so that I can grab them and go. And that's what I did. I grabbed my children, I grabbed my few little things, and I left. And I never saw him anymore, thankfully. So I have no idea where he's at. I have no idea where my first son's father is either. So yes, they had to grow up without their dads, but I felt like it was the choice that I needed to make to protect them, because not only were they being abusive and abusive to me, they were being verbally abusive to my children too. So that was the choice that I had to make for my children. And if they want to get in contact with them later on in life when they're older, like I did with my dad, because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I did contact my dad when later on in life, even though he was abusive to my mother and he wasn't in my life. I did, and I'm grateful for that relationship, because we were able to bond, and he's now since passed away, but we were able to bond and create a relationship of our own later on in life, and I was able to forgive him and, move forward in that. So I'm going to let my children have that choice with their dads as well. But moving forward, and this is the mistake that I made, guys. I jumped into these relationships one right after the other. Hence why I'm wearing my shirt today. Because I realize now that you need to take your time. You need to make sure that you are healing, that you are growing, that you are, moving forward from one relationship to the other. But again, I was looking to save someone, and I was looking for someone to save me. I was being young. I was being dumb. I was being naive. So by this time I'm thinking, since I'm more in the Lord and I'm following the Lord more, and I'm doing my ministry and my YouTube, and I've been called to be anointed as a minister. My grandmother has laid hands on me and told me that I was going to take care over her legacy. I'm thinking I'm further along in the Lord, and that I'm going to be able to help anyone. So I meet my last husband, which you guys have seen on my YouTube channel. He hasn't actually come on YouTube, but I think I have a few snippets and a few clips that I left up for you guys to be able to see. And I used to have his picture up on my profile. And so I meet him. And all I'll say is the sparks flew right away. I prayed to God about him. I thought that he was my God-given husband. I really did, because we got along in every area. We would finish each other's sentences. He was very nice. He treated me like a queen. He called me queen. He moved us out of that old dump building into a nice apartment. He would buy me things. He would make sure that he on our anniversary he'd buy me flowers. He bought me my first vehicle. He would spend money on me and the children. He took very good care of us. He really did. Um but he wasn't as strong in his faith as I was. He said he was a believer and he loved God and believed in God and prayed to God, but he didn't show a life of that. He would drink. He was a smoker. He didn't go to church. He would party. He was a heavy gambler when I first met him. He would hang out with family members and friends that would all drink. And I went over all of this, guys, thinking that, and he wasn't drinking as heavily as he started drinking later in our marriage. He would have a few beers went to cases of beers. And because that was his choice of drink. He used to drink all day. I don't think there was a day of our marriage that he didn't drink something. He would drink all day. All day. And he would say, "Oh, I'm not drunk, I'm not drunk, I'm not drunk." But be stumbling around, be slurring his words, be mean as all get up. He was mean. He turned mean. He was nice at first, but he turned mean. And mean turned into pushing. Pushing turned into putting your hands on me, around my neck. He would put his hands around my neck like that. Yeah. And I knew he would say things like, this is what he would say, because he watched Forensic Files a lot. He would be like, to make you be on Forensic Files one day. That's going to be you one day. To take this hammer and bash your head in with it. Things like that. Just threaten my life. Threaten my life. He would get his fist and bang it on the counter when he would get mad. He'd be, like that. And I guess to intimidate us. Nothing we did was right. We couldn't do anything right. And I don't keep a dirty house. Nobody can tell you in my life that I kept a dirty house. My Uncle Timmy actually told me that he was afraid to sit on my couch because my house was so spotless. And it wasn't spotless. I'm not going to say that. But I always keep a clean house. And there would be a few pieces of trash on the floor. He'd fuss about that. He'd have us in 90-degree weather. 90-some degree weather, cutting grass. I mean, the things he would put us through. He'd get belts and swing them at my children. He'd get up in their face and, you gon' come on, fight me, all up in their face. I mean, we were so scared. He had us walking on eggshells. Every time he would come home, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what kind of person we were going to get. We didn't know what he was going to do. We didn't know what he was going to say. We were all so grateful when he would go to bed, when he would drink, especially on the weekends, when he would drink so much and he'd be fussing all the way up until he went to bed. He would get us all around him and belittle us one by one. You. If we didn't do something when he wanted us to do it, how he wanted us to do it, we would hear it for hours and hours and hours. I mean, it was horrible, guys. It was horrible. And we couldn't say anything. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't be anything. Our life was not our life. Our life was not our life. I couldn't spend any money without him micromanaging everything. And I worked full time as well, and I couldn't spend any of the money that I worked for without a fight, or without him without him fussing about anything. We had this really nice, I'm going to say it on here. We had this really nice black Corvette. He had bought a Corvette. Yes, we had a Corvette. And he would tell me all the time, why don't you drive it? Why don't you drive it? But then when I would drive it, because it was a stick shift, I wasn't the best at driving the stick shift. He put me down for that. And he micromanaged everywhere I went. I had to tell him exactly when I got home, exactly how I got home, because I worked it with him. Now I know why I worked with him, because he wanted to micromanage me. I would have to tell him when I went to the store, what stores I went to, how much money I spent, what I bought. When I got home, I would leave the work. He would know exactly how long it would take for me to get home from leaving work. And he would call me, make sure I told him the exact moment that I got into the door. You know, I couldn't go anywhere. My mom lived right around the corner. I couldn't even go to her house without him. Oh, where are you at? How long you gonna be there? What y'all gonna be doing? What y'all gonna be talking about? What y'all talk about? You know, he would just micromanage everything I did. My oldest son, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't go anywhere. He had a girlfriend. He couldn't go see her. He couldn't go get anything to eat. He couldn't spend any of the money that he made on anything he wanted. I mean, he controlled and micromanaged and manipulated every little bit of our lives. My daughter and them, they went to a that football game one time. She couldn't even go sit with her friends. That was one of the worst nights. He got out of the car. He walked all the way home. And that was the night that he cursed and fussed us out and told me he was going to bash my head in with a hammer for sticking up for my daughter, because she's a teenager. She wanted to go sit with her. She wanted to go sit with her friends. She didn't want to sit with him, you know. But he embarrassed her in front of everyone. Guys, this was the worst. This was the worst one, because not only was he alcoholic, you know, he was an alcoholic, he was a controller, a manipulator, and showed very much narcissistic traits. He was wicked, he was evil on every level you can think of. Yeah, I knew I had to get out of that. And so when I saw that little bit of opportunity to leave that morning, when he left and he took his dad to a family reunion, I had about 6 or 7 hours, and I packed my things and we left. And I'm saying this to say this, guys. Domestic violence can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter what careers you have. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how educated you are. It doesn't matter what background you come from. It doesn't matter if you're a man. It doesn't matter if you're a female. It can happen to anyone. We do not know truly who carries these kind of attributes to hurt people. We all have been through some kind of hurt, but the choices that they make are different from the choices that you make. You chose to not hurt people and to love people and to not put people through what you've been through, but they chose a different path. They chose a path of evil. They gave their hearts and their souls to wickedness, and it's only their choice to change that, to answer the call that they have on their life as well, to stop doing what they're doing. And a lot of these people are sick. They are sick. They have an evil and wicked spirit in them. Know that it's not your fault. Know that it is not you. No matter what they said to you, no matter what they did to you, no matter how they hurt you, it's not you, it's them. They need the healing. They need the deliverance, okay? And so don't let your story and you wanting to be with this person, and even you saying that you love these people, because I still love my husband. I still love all of the people that hurt me. But what if you're not able to live to love that person anymore, to live for your children, to live to tell your stories, and to live to to help others or to be something or someone, because these people in an instant can kill you. My sister was telling me one of her friends that we knew, that we were growing up with, locked her in a bathroom and killed her and then killed himself, you know. How many stories have you guys heard on the news that are like that? Like with my daughter and her classmate, her 16-year-old classmate and her 20-year-old sister got shot to death in a domestic violence situation. When I left my last marriage, in a domestic violence, there was a, just in the same county, there was a domestic violence situation. Stand-up couple. I'm talking about they had money. Nobody suspected that this domestic violence situation was going on. They had a big house, nice cars. They had the whole American dream, white picket fence, all of that. And the dad shot the mom and the 11-year-old and the 10-year-old. So it was a boy and a girl. And then shot himself, you know. But everybody said that there was domestic violence going on in the home. Like the closest people to them were saying that there was a domestic violence going on in the home. I remember a story as well. My son was working with a woman at his job, and she was also shot by her boyfriend. And her child, both of her children were shot. One made it, one didn't make it, and she's brain damaged even till this day. You know, she'll never be the same. And now she doesn't have her brother or her mother. Her boyfriend shot her. I mean, guys, how many times have you guys heard this? So please, 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 if you're going through this kind of situation, get out of it. Make the plans to get out. Even if you have to do like I did and start all over again, God will take care of you. He will handle it. He will provide. You know, my children and I have this small little apartment, you know, but I'm so grateful for it that we have. And I'm just now getting a job. I think I start my job on Monday, actually, thank God. But I don't have any money. I don't have, you know, I started over again. My husband and I had a 4-bedroom house on, I think it was an acre of land or 2 acres of land, something like that. We had nice cars. He made 6 figures, guys. I made good money. I had a job that I made good money with him. We had nice furniture. We had the light up LED couches and nice brand new furniture, nice brand new appliances, nice brand new hardwood floors, nice refrigerator that we just had purchased together. I mean, we had the whole 9 yards, guys. And I left. I left because what if I wasn't alive to talk to you guys now because of what was going on in our household? It's not worth it, guys. Please. I'm going to be in prayer for us, all of us that have had to start over, all of us that have been through domestic violence situations, all of us that are going through this. Guys, we need to get out. We need to heal. We need to grow. We need to move forward, even if it means that we won't have what we had before, even if it means that we have to start all over again and not have the things that we had. It's not worth your life. It's not worth your life. And I'm praying that my story will help someone. And I'm sorry this video was so long, but I wanted to let you guys know what some of the things that have happened to me. And I can tell you guys so many more stories, but I think I told the meat of it. But I can tell you guys so many more stories, so many more encounters that happened. But this video was to help someone to have the strength to get out, to know that you're not alone, to know that you can get out, and to know that God is with you, and that is not your fault. It's not your fault, okay? And that hopefully us ladies and men can come together and help others to avoid these kind of situations to happen to you, okay? And maybe one day I will go into details of all the stories that I could tell you guys of what happened to me. But I went into the meat of it. And I pray that this will reach whoever it can, to help whoever it can. And be strong in the Lord. The Lord is your everything. And take your time when you get into relationships. Make sure that it's truly from God. Know that you are worth someone who loves you and cherishes you, and who is in God themselves, who loves God and who will love you and your children unconditionally, and who will inspire you and uplift you and grow with you, and you guys will help each other, and they won't have those crazy manipulation and control tactics. They're gonna love you through and through, you know. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna end with this. There was a decision that I was gonna make a few days ago. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, but I said, you know what, I'm worth more than this. I am worth more than this. And I cut it off, you know? And I'm not talking about a man or anything, but I cut this situation out of my life, because I know now everything that I've been through and everything that I've gone through, and I just knew that wasn't the right situation for me. I listened to the Holy Spirit inside of me, and I said, you know what? No. I'm worth more than that. I'm worth more than that. And you're going to find your self-worth. You are. And I'm still trying to find my self-worth as well. And I'm sitting on here talking like as if I'm perfect, but I'm not. I'm still healing as well. I'm still growing. I'm not perfect, but I can help those, I believe, that are struggling through these kind of situations, because I've had God with me throughout the whole thing. You have God with you throughout the whole thing. God is watching you, whether you think he is or not, whether you believe he is or not, and whether you believe in him or not, he believes in you. God believes in you. And so he's protecting you in those children. He's protecting you in those situations. And so if I have the strength and the courage to sit here today to tell you guys what I've been through, and that I'm talking to you today, you have the strength and the courage to get through it as well, and heal and go on your healing journey too. Okay? I love you guys. And know that you are worth it. Know that you are worth it in Jesus, okay? I love you guys. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.